Over 1.2 million SUVs got recalled in the last 12 months. Cracked fuel pumps. Moon roofs detaching at highway speed. Seats that weren't welded to the floor. And somewhere in the middle of all that, your neighbor, your coworker, your uncle, is telling you to just buy whatever has good reviews. That kind of advice gets people stranded. I've towed those people. I've handed them the estimates. If you're searching for the best SUVs for seniors in 2026, whether that's for yourself or for your parents, I've cut it down to 4. Not 20. Not a top 10 list full of filler. For 20 years of turning wrenches on every one of these. That changes what you're willing to recommend. And the SUV I put at number 1? A dealership service advisor once told a customer not to buy. Not because it was unreliable, because she'd never need to come back for repairs. You'll want to hear that story. I'm telling you what rolls into my shop, what comes back broken, and what never comes back at all because it's still running fine at 200,000 miles. And I built this list around what actually matters when you're over 50 or you're buying for someone who is. Can you see out of it without craning your neck? Can you get in and out without grabbing the door frame like you're climbing into a truck? Will it start every single morning without drama? Will it protect you if the worst happens? Those are the questions. And most car reviews never ask them. For SUVs. Counting down from number 4 to number 1. The strongest pick is last. Here we go. Number 4, Subaru Forester. Number 4 has the best visibility of any SUV in this price range. You sit upright. The windows are enormous. The pillars are thin. For anyone who's tired of craning their neck or guessing what's in the blind spot, this is the one that fixes that problem instantly. The Subaru Forester. And before the comments blow up, yes, I know about the CVT. Let's talk about it. Subaru uses a continuously variable transmission. Instead of traditional gears shifting through set ratios, a CVT runs a steel belt between 2 pulleys. It's smooth when it works. The problem is heat. These transmissions run hot, and when they get hot too often, the belt starts slipping. Once that happens, you're not fixing it. You're replacing the whole unit. But here's the part most people get wrong. They hear CVT problems, and they write off every Forester ever made. That's not how it works. A CVT replacement on a Forester runs $7,500 to $8,600 at a dealer. I've seen quotes over $8,000 for people who walked in without doing any research. A remanufactured unit through an independent shop brings it down to maybe $2,500 to $3,500, but that's still brutal on a car you bought for $15,000. Here's the good news. That failure is concentrated in specific model years. I had a 2015 Forester come in last spring. 94,000 miles. The owner loved it. Kept every service record in a binder in the glove box. And the CVT was already shuttering in reverse. That's the telltale. That generation, 2014, 2015, some 2017s, had the worst valve body and torque converter issues. Subaru knew it too. They quietly extended the CVT warranty to 10 years and 100,000 miles on those model years. If you're buying used, check whether that coverage has already been used up before you hand over $1. But the 2019 through 2021 Forester? That's a different story. 5th generation. Naturally aspirated 2.5-liter boxer engine. Matured CVT. I've had these come through my shop at 140,000 miles with the original transmission running perfectly. Those are the years you want. If you're shopping for a used Forester, here's your rule. Buy 2019 to 2021. Avoid 2014 through 2018 unless the seller can show you documented proof that the CVT was already replaced. And skip the turbo option on the 2023 and 2024 unless you want to deal with carbon buildup on a direct injection engine that's only been out for 2 years. Who should buy this? You want all-wheel drive that works in snow without thinking about it. You want to see everything around your car without turning your whole body. You want standard EyeSight safety tech, adaptive cruise, lane keep, automatic emergency braking, included on every trim level. And you want to spend under $25,000 for a clean, low-mileage example. Who should walk away? You want excitement. This is the sensible shoe of SUVs. It does its job quietly. If you need the car to make you feel something when you turn the key, this isn't it. The Forester doesn't try to impress you. It just starts every morning, gets you where you're going, and lets you see every car that's about to cut you off. For a lot of people over 50, that's worth more than leather seats. Mechanic's verdict. Buy the right year, maintain it by the book, and this car will give you 200,000 boring, uneventful, beautiful miles. Good start. solid car. But number 3 is where it gets interesting. Because this next SUV just had 720,000 units recalled. And I'm still recommending it. Number 3, Honda CR-V. Number 3 is lower on this list for a reason, but don't skip it. This might be the one that surprises you the most. Honda recalled over 720,000 vehicles, including CR-V hybrids, for cracked high-pressure fuel pumps that could leak fuel. That's a fire risk. And I'm still putting it on this list. Here's why. The Honda CR-V scores a 4.5 out of 5 on RepairPal's Reliability Index. That's the highest of any SUV on this list. Average annual repair cost, $407. That's not a typo. $407 a year. Most people spend more than that on coffee. I've worked on CR Versys for 2 decades. The 2017 through 2019 models with the 1.5-liter turbo engine had a real problem. Fuel was seeping past the piston rings into the oil on cold starts and short trips. Owners were pulling the dipstick and finding oil levels higher than when they filled it. That's gasoline diluting your engine oil. Honda extended the powertrain coverage to 6 years on 2017 and 2018 models and made hardware changes starting in 2019 and 2020. That fuel pump recall I mentioned? NHTSA campaign 24V763000. Honda caught it, notified owners, and the fix is free at any Honda dealer. That's how recalls are supposed to work. The recall doesn't scare me. A manufacturer that hides problems scares me. Honda fixed it. The CR-V's biggest strength for seniors is how easy it is to live with. Wide doors that open far enough to swing your legs out. A flat, low-load floor in the back. Honda sensing comes standard on every trim. Forward collision warning, automatic braking, lane departure, adaptive cruise that works in stop-and-go traffic. 5-star NHTSA crash rating. It does everything a senior needs and nothing they don't. Your buy zone is a 2015 or 2016 if you want the proven, naturally aspirated 2.4-liter engine with zero turbo drama. Or jump to 2020 and newer if you want the updated turbo with the oil dilution fixes already baked in. Avoid the 2017 to 2019 window unless you confirm the extended warranty hasn't expired and the oil change history is clean. Who should buy this? You want the cheapest SUV to own long-term in this entire class. You do a lot of city driving, short trips, errands. You want something your mechanic sees once a year for an oil change and nothing else. Who should walk away? You need all-wheel drive in serious snow. The CR-V offers it, but it's not the Forester. And if you're doing nothing but 5-minute trips in cold weather and looking at a 2017 to 2019, that oil dilution issue was built for exactly your driving pattern. The CR-V is the car that makes mechanics boring. Nobody calls me in a panic about their CR-V. They call me about everything else. Buy the right year, change the oil on time, and this car will quietly outlast your patience for owning it. Real quick, I put out a video like this every week. Stuff that dealerships genuinely do not want you watching. If you've got parents shopping for a car, or you're doing it yourself, subscribe. It's free, and what I'm about to show you on the next 2 SUVs might save you more than this entire video already has. Alright, number 2. This is where the list gets serious. Number 2, Toyota RAV4. This is the best-selling SUV in America. And for once, the thing everybody's buying is actually the thing everybody should be buying. That almost never happens. I want to tell you something about the RAV4 that sounds like I'm exaggerating. I'm not. I've worked on hundreds of these across 3 generations. You know what the most common problem I see on a 2020 RAV4 at 80,000 miles? Brake pads. That's it. Brake pads and an occasional cabin air filter the owner forgot about. Last fall I had a 2016 RAV4 hybrid come in at 187,000 miles. The owner was a retired mail carrier. Drove it through Michigan winters for 7 years. The hybrid battery was original. The transmission was original. She wanted me to find something wrong with it so she'd have an excuse to buy a new one. I couldn't. That's the kind of car this is. It almost makes my job feel unnecessary. RepairPal puts the RAV4 at a 4.0 out of 5 reliability score with $429 a year in average repairs. And here's the number that matters most, only about a 10% chance of a severe, budget-breaking repair in any given year. That's lower than almost anything else in the compact SUV class. When something does go wrong, it's usually the EVAP canister. That's the emissions component that sits on top of the fuel tank. It clogs up over time, throws a check engine light, and costs a few hundred to replace because of where it sits. That's the biggest problem I can find. An emissions canister. On the grand scale of car failures, that barely qualifies. The RAV4 safety record is what puts it at number 2 on this list. NHTSA 5-star overall rating. IIHS top safety pick for 8 consecutive years on the current architecture. Every trim since 2019 comes with Toyota Safety Sense standard. Pre-collision braking, lane departure alert, adaptive cruise, automatic high beams. You don't have to pay extra for any of it. It's on the base model. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Toyota issued a recall on the 2025 RAV4 this year. You know how many vehicles were affected? Not 4,000. Not 400. 4 individual cars with improperly welded seat brackets. They tracked down 4 cars and fixed them. That tells you everything about how this company handles quality control. Your sweet spot is 2020 through 2022. The 2019 was the first year of the 5th generation, and some owners reported transmission hesitation and lurching at low speed. By 2020, Toyota had smoothed that out. If you want value, a 2016 through 2018 4th-gen RAV4 is one of the most bulletproof used SUVs on the market right now. One word of caution on the hybrid. Used RAV4 hybrids are holding value so aggressively that some are priced above what a brand new 2026 costs. If you see that, walk away. Buy the gas model instead and put the savings toward 10 years of maintenance. Who should buy this? You want the lowest drama ownership experience money can buy. You want safety tech that works without asking you to learn a new system every month. You want your mechanic to be mildly bored every time you bring it in. Who should walk away? You want a quiet highway ride. The RAV4 lets in more road noise than the CR-V or the Lexus. And if you want luxury anything, this interior is functional, not fancy. It does its job. It won't make you feel pampered doing it. The RAV4 is the car mechanics recommend to people they actually like. It's boring. It's reliable. It'll still be running when you've forgotten what you paid for it. Mechanics verdict. If somebody put a gun to my head and said pick one SUV for a senior who never wants to think about car problems again, and money matters, it's a RAV4. Every time. That was number 2. And I already know some of you are thinking, what could possibly beat that? Number 1, Lexus RX 350. Number 1 is a luxury SUV. And I know what some of you are thinking. A luxury car? On a list about practical, affordable SUVs for seniors. Stay with me, because by the time I'm done, you're going to understand why this is the most practical car on this entire list. And it's going to change how you shop for everything. The Lexus RX. Here's the story I promised you at the beginning. I had a customer a few years back, a retired teacher, who was shopping for her next car. She'd been driving a Camry for 15 years. Wanted something a little higher, easier on her knees, still reliable. She went to a Lexus dealer, sat in an RX, and asked the service advisor standing next to her a simple question. How often will I be back here for repairs? And the advisor, I'm not making this up, the advisor said, honestly? If you're buying this one, we might not see you again for years. She thought he was joking. He wasn't. That advisor was telling a customer not to expect return visits on a luxury vehicle because the car was that well built. That woman bought the car. 3 years later, she called me for a second opinion on something. You know what was wrong? A brake squeak from the actuator. That's a $200 fix. In 3 years, that was it. Now, you might think that's one story. It's not. Lexus has sat at the top of J.D. Power's dependability study for years. There's a reason. This is Toyota engineering with better materials, better sound deadening, and a level of assembly precision that most brands can't touch at twice the price. The RX sits about 8 inches off the ground. That's the sweet spot. High enough for clear visibility and confidence in the seat. Low enough that you're not climbing in like it's a pickup truck. The doors open wide. Some trims have a power easy exit feature that slides the seat back automatically when you turn the car off. The steering is light. The ride absorbs everything. And Lexus Safety System Plus is standard across the lineup. For a senior with stiff joints, a bad back, or just a preference for comfort over nonsense, this is the cabin you want to sit in every day. Here's where it changes. Most people assume luxury car means luxury repair bills. On the RX, RepairPal puts it at $550 a year in average repairs. Over 10 years, you're looking at about $7,800 total. That beats the luxury SUV average by more than $6,500. Read that again. Lexus. A luxury SUV. Costing less to maintain over a decade than most Jeeps, most Fords, and definitely less than anything German. The only thing expensive about this car is the badge. And you're not paying the badge tax on repairs. You're paying it once, at purchase, and then you're getting Toyota reliability wrapped in leather for the next 200,000 miles. The Lexus RX is a Toyota that went to finishing school. Rides better, looks better, sounds better, and costs the same to keep running. That's the secret the luxury market doesn't want you to figure out. Your buy zone is 2020 through 2022 RX 350. The 2020 facelift added a real touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Lexus Safety System Plus 2.0. That's the tech dividing line. Before 2020, you're dealing with the old touchpad interface that frustrated everyone who used it. After 2020, it's intuitive. Pricing. A used 2020 RX 350 sits around $32,000 to $33,000 right now. A new 2026 starts above $51,000. That's an $18,000 gap for a car with the same engine, the same reliability, and the same build quality. You do the math. Years to avoid. 2016 and 2017 had transmission hesitation complaints and dated tech. The 2007 and 2010 had VVTi oil line bursts that could dump your oil on the highway without warning. Who should buy this? You've worked hard. You want something comfortable, quiet, and safe that makes you feel like you're driving something worth owning. You want Toyota reliability without the Toyota interior. You want your grandkids to fight over who inherits this car. Who should walk away? You're watching every dollar, and $32,000 stretches the budget. The RAV4 gives you 90% of the reliability for 60% of the price. No shame in that. Also, the RX requires premium fuel. That adds up over time if you're driving a lot. Mechanic's verdict. This is the car I'd buy my own mother. No hesitation. No second guessing. 20 years in the shop and nothing has changed my mind on that. The Lexus RX is the answer to the question most people don't even know they're asking. Alright, I promised you a 30-second check you can do before buying any of these, and here it is. When you're looking at a used SUV, pop the hood and pull the transmission dipstick. If the car has one, look at the color. Fresh transmission fluid is bright red or pink. If it's dark brown, it's overdue for a change. If it's black and smells burnt, walk away. That transmission has been cooked and you're buying someone else's problem. If the car doesn't have a dipstick, which is more common on newer models, ask the seller to show you the last transmission service receipt. If they can't, that tells you everything you need to know. And no matter which of these four you're looking at, go to nhts.gov and run the VIN through the recall lookup before you sign anything. It's free. It takes 30 seconds. And it'll tell you if there's an open recall the seller never mentioned. Those are the four. Subaru Forester for visibility and all-weather confidence. Honda CR-V for the lowest repair bills in the class. Toyota RAV4 for the most proven safety record on four wheels. And the Lexus RX for the person who wants all of that wrapped in something that feels like a reward for every year they've put in. You now know more about what actually lasts, what years to avoid, and what to check before you buy than 90% of people walking onto a dealership lot this weekend. Use it. Drop a comment and tell me which one of these four you'd pick. Or tell me I'm wrong and I missed something. I read every single comment, and I've changed future videos based on what you tell me in there. Don't sleep on that. Now, if this video helped you figure out what to buy, the next question is what to avoid. Because for every solid SUV I just showed you, there are 3 more that look identical on paper and will drain your savings account inside of 2 years. I ranked the used SUVs I would never let someone I care about drive off a lot with. That video is right here. It's the other half of this conversation, and it's the one that might save you the most money. 20 years of experience. For SUVs that earn their spot. Do your homework, check those VINs, and don't let a salesman talk you out of what you already know is right. I'll see you in the next one.